Network.
Egyptian President Sisi meets with Khalifa Haftar, the commander of Libya's eastern forces. The capital of Mozambique, Sofala province, is rebuilding after the devastating impact of Cyclone Idai. And why wigs and hair extensions from China are gaining popularity on the African continent. Hello and welcome to Africa Live on CGTN with me, Beatrice Marshall, in Nairobi. Also coming up this hour, the rising fortunes of Nigerian firm Jumia as it begins trading at the New York Stock Exchange. And Ethiopian runners dominate this year's Paris Marathon. And we begin in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, where President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has met with the commander of Eastern Libyan forces. Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army controls the east of the country and took the mainly desert south earlier this year, before moving towards Tripoli 10 days ago. Egypt released photos showing Haftar sitting with President el-Sisi and his head of intelligence, Abbas Kamel. No other details about the meeting were immediately available from either party. Khalifa Haftar's move on Libya's capital is the latest and potentially most significant development in the divided country in a cycle of conflict and turmoil since the 2011 toppling of former leader Muammar Gaddafi. Egypt and the United Arab Emirates publicly support UN-led peace efforts in Libya while being seen as Haftar's closest regional allies. Well, let's cross over to CGTN's Adel Mahroui. He's keeping tabs on that story from Cairo. Adel, the meeting between Egypt's President el-Sisi and Khalifa Haftar was rather unexpected. What more can you tell us about what exactly was discussed there?
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has discussed the recent developments in Libya with General Khalifa Haftar. The two have discussed the exact details of what is going on, the plan by which Haftar plans to proceed forward against what he calls counter-terrorism operation. And let's not forget that so far the Eastern Bloc and the LNA, the Libyan National Army led by Khalifa Haftar, they still insist that they are fighting terrorism and they are in a major operation to counter terrorism and I quote here, liberate Tripoli from the militant and extremist groups. This is the core mission, and in that line President el-Sisi has showed his support to these efforts of eradicating terrorism from Libya. To Egypt it's a very significant to have and be assured that there are no rise of Islamist militants in Libya, and Egypt has had for long full trust in Khalifa Haftar and the Libyan National Army in leading that operation. So the meeting has discussed that, and Egypt has also went into further details with the Eastern General to try to make and have a better view of the ongoing operation. The meeting has gathered President el-Sisi, Khalifa Haftar of course, and the chief of the Egyptian Intelligence Bureau. All were together today, which is an indication to the collaboration from the Egyptian part in the Libyan efforts to move forward to Tripoli.
Adel, and what is the significance of this meeting exactly? Are we likely to see Khalifa Haftar continuing with his push to take Tripoli?
Well, the significance is definitely, I mean, for long we know that President el-Sisi, the Egyptian government, supports Khalifa Haftar. But having that at this particular time where the operations are ongoing and among international criticisms to what is Haftar doing is reassurance that Egypt in a way is supporting, although that has not been said explicitly in today's meeting. All the statements from the Egyptian presidency has focused on counter-terrorism efforts. It did not mention anything else or Tripoli by name, but it has said that it supports the LNA's efforts in combating terrorism. The claims that the LNA says it is proceeding with against Tripoli and to liberate it. So it seems that there is an ongoing support, and it's a reassurance in the region that Egypt is still standing by General Khalifa Haftar despite the recent incidents. This in itself is a political support. Maybe Khalifa Haftar needs more.
Adele, exactly what mediation role, though, can the international community play to counter the escalation of tensions in Libya and as well as help protect the civilian population there?
It seems that on the ground, both parties have completely lost trust in the other. Faiz Sarraj is now in response, in the eyes, of the Eastern government, is a person who lacks authority and has left Tripoli to militant or terrorist groups to lead. That's their view. And from the other side, Faiz Sarraj believes that Khalifa Haftar is a person who violated all political agreements, even the latest that was in Abu Dhabi in UAE, which, by the way, supports Khalifa Haftar like Egypt. So to Faiz Sarraj, this is a violation, and it is an indication that there no longer could be or there is any use for political dialogue with Khalifa Haftar specifically. He still insists that there might be a political solution, but maybe now it's too late as the General Khalifa Haftar is proceeding with might. So for the international community to help out, they have to intervene by all means. I mean, they have to proceed politically to calm down. They have to somehow bring calm and restore a ceasefire, try to bring it alive, which the UN has called and has been failed to be achieved. So this is the role of the regional powers and the international powers who are interested in the Libyan file. How will they do it now? That's a big question with the war ongoing, and it seems that it is getting bigger. The casualties are rising. WHO numbers said that it has jumped to about 121 killed so far and 600 injured. So the numbers are growing as the days are proceeding and as the war is getting longer. So if anyone in this war wants to do something from the powers interested in Libya, they should intervene immediately.
Adel Mahoui joining us there from Cairo with that update on Libya. Thank you. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says fighting for control of the Libyan capital has killed 121 people and wounded nearly 600. The World Health Organization says it is sending medical supplies and more staff to the Libyan city to help prevent a humanitarian crisis. Forces loyal to Khalifa Haftar launched their offensive earlier this month. The World Health Organization has also denounced what it describes as repeated attacks on healthcare workers. The UN mission in Libya has also condemned attacks on civilian areas in Tripoli. In a statement, the United Nations says that the bombing of schools, hospitals, ambulances and civilian areas is strictly prohibited under international law. The UN mission says it is closely monitoring and documenting all acts of violence and has vowed it will brief the UN Security Council and the International Criminal Court about its findings. Well, as the battles rage between forces loyal to Khalifa Haftar and the UN-backed government, many residents in Tripoli are concerned about the future of the country.
Life appears normal in the Libyan capital of Tripoli. In the center and northern parts of the city, there is no fighting, and cafes and shops bustle with customers. Artillery blasts are raging in the southern part of Tripoli though, and residents wonder whether the forces of General Khalifa Haftar will soon be controlling the city.
The attack was honestly unexpected. We had hoped that there would be, for example, a collective conference and that the country would be able to move forward in a stable manner. We do not like what is happening in Tripoli. I'm speaking personally. We do not want a military rule, but at the same time, we do not want to be ruled by militias. We want a civil rule. We want there to be stability and a better future for our children.
There is less traffic in the city. Many people have left to stay with relatives and others opt to stay indoors.
This is the third battle. What we should be learning from what we have been through in the past 8 years is that we should build a country with equality together. One that we can live in, side by side, and coexist in. And we can build Libya. Libya has many resources, talents, abilities, and possibilities, whether as a country or as people.
Forces loyal to Libya's internationally recognized government based in Tripoli have barricaded the main southern border of the city with sandbags and shipping containers. This is to deter Haftar's tanks and armored personnel carriers. Thuli Shabalala, CGTN.
You're watching Africa Live. Still ahead on the program. The rising fortunes of Nigerian firm Jumia as it begins trading at the New York Stock Exchange. And why wigs and hair extensions from China are gaining popularity on the African continent.
You're watching breaking news on CGTN.
Welcome to the world today on CGTN.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice. Africa Live. Find your voice.
On to Mozambique now, and with the road to Buzi town now repaired by the government in the aftermath of Cyclone Idai, a CGTN crew was able to reach the town. And as our correspondent Robert Nagila reports, the once thriving provincial capital of Sofala in central Mozambique is but a shadow of its former glory. Take a look.
Seated on the veranda of his damaged hotel in Buzi, Rodolfo Chinedi recalls March 16th vividly.
When it started, it was whistling. Trees, roofs, everything was flying. It was terrible.
Virtually any building you come across in the town of Buzi, you'll see this watermark. This was the level of flood water on the 16th of March. More than 24 hours after Cyclone Idai passed through this town. And like so many areas in this region, the flood water has yet to completely disappear. These were the images that shocked the world, leading to an unprecedented rescue effort from the air. By the time the floods had receded, 108 people were dead. Now, on the ground, the town resembles a war zone. Not a single building in Buzi was spared. The local police station's roof, like many others, blown away.
When you go around town, you can see that there's more than 90% of the houses that are actually seriously damaged. Many of them totally destroyed.
The latest figures from the government show 112,000 houses were destroyed by Cyclone Idai. A further 111,000 were damaged, while 15,000 were flooded. At what used to be the local market, Francisco Mbereketu has come back to his stall to salvage what he can.
I have lost everything, including my house and family. I am left only with the clothes that I am wearing.
There is still no power here. Most of the power lines still where the cyclone left them. Many of Buzi's residents have now left. It is doubtful they will return. But crucially, humanitarian assistance has started arriving. Back with Rodolphe, He shows me the damage to his property. He lost 67 cattle on his farm alone. I ask him if he'll rebuild. At 69 years of age, his life's work is gone. His silence speaks volumes. Robert Nagila, CGTN, Buzi, Mozambique.
The president of the Seychelles has visited researchers from a British-led science expedition currently exploring the waters around the Indian Ocean island nation. There's increasing fear about the adverse effects of climate change on coastal regions.
President Danny Faure travelled to the island of Desroche in the outer islands of the Seychelles to observe first-hand efforts to document changes to the ocean that are taking place beneath the waves. This could affect billions of people around the Indian Ocean region over the coming decades.
So we will have ownership, full ownership to the data, and we will be better to plan better in terms of the work that we're doing to better protect our areas.
The initiative is a key component of the blue economy, an attempt to balance development needs with those of the environment. The expedition has been followed closely in the Seychelles, a small island nation particularly at threat from global warming and sea level rise.
It's the first time for me to carry out a survey in my own country. That's great.
By the end of the mission, researchers expect to have conducted over 300 deployments, collected around 1,400 samples, and surveyed about 25,000 square meters of seabed using high-resolution multi-beam sonar equipment.
The number one threat to humanity remains climate change. And we cannot lose time. The time is now for us to act.
The data here will help the Seychelles consolidate and expand its policy of protecting almost a third of its natural waters by the year 2020. Mohamed Abubakar, CGTN.
Nigerian e-commerce firm Jumia has become the first African startup to launch an initial public offering on the New York Stock Exchange. Known as Africa's Amazon, Jumia began its first official day of trading on Friday, where its shares surged by 75%. With strong investor interest, Jumia has managed to raise a total of $196 million. CGTN's Jen Keo reports.
After its executives rang the opening bell, Jumia's first day of trading began at the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker JMIA. After setting the initial price at $14.5, Jumia stocks opened at $18.95. The company sold 13.5 million American depository shares, raising a total of $196 million. With its initial public offering, Jumia has become the first African startup to list on any major global exchange.
I think it's a great achievement, but it's also only the beginning for us of a long journey. And you know, we are here to continue to build a business and to help our consumers save time, save money. We chose New York because we felt this was a place where the investor had, you know, the most experience and the best understanding of both building marketplaces and also operating in emerging markets.
The e-commerce firm was founded in Lagos in 2012 by two French entrepreneurs, Sacha Poinonek and Jeremy Hodara. It sells merchandise including clothing and electronics.
For most of our consumers, buying online is the very first time they do it. And one of the first things that's important for them is to build a trust. And so what they want is to pay cash on delivery when they receive the product, which is different from the Western world where you prepay your orders.
The retail platform isn't profitable yet, but sales jumped by almost 40% to $147 million last year. Operating across 14 African countries, it now has over 4 million customers. Jin Keo, CGTN.
Chinese wigs have grown in popularity internationally, mainly due to their high quality and delicate craftsmanship. The practice of wearing a wig or adding hair extensions has taken root in many African countries. Let's now take a look at how the hair products are imported from China.
The cost of beauty has over the years been proven to know no bounds. Jessica, a 22-year-old Congolese woman, frequently travels thousands of kilometers to China to purchase hair wigs, motivated by the high demand for the product back home in the DRC. But it's not a cheap venture.
I come 3 times a year, and when I come, I take 10,000 pesos, and he cost me $200,000.
In 2017, China exported $3.2 billion worth of hair products. Africa was its second largest market with a 34% share. And according to the general manager of Henan Rebecca Hair Products, in Nigeria alone, the company sells 9 to 11 million hair product items per year.
The trading volume of wigs in European and American markets increased some 50% year-on-year, but it's up by 100 to 300% year-on-year in the African market.
In Henan province, workers have been making wigs and other hair products for decades. In 2018, the sale of wigs to Africa increased by over 200%, significantly boosted by the rapid development of e-commerce.
Our business in B2C has mushroomed since the second half of 2017, and our customers are from 100-plus countries after starting from a minimal number of countries when we first started. We mainly sell our products to African countries.
Although many synthetic hair products are still the best sellers, human hair products are attracting more African customers who are willing to and can afford to spend more. A number of Chinese wig companies have now set up factories in African countries, creating around 10,000 jobs for locals, and the potential for more expansion of hair product manufacturers remains high across the continent. Beryl Oro, CGTN.
Let's now take a look at your sports news. Here's what's ahead. Ethiopians dominate this year's Paris Marathon.
You don't find the stories of North Africa by sitting on the sidelines. You've got to get out, go there, and you'll find them. In the bazaars of Casablanca, among the crowds in Cairo,
who come to visit Cairo, the ancient capital of Egypt.
Along the waters of the Nile, along the sands of the Sahara. No one else will take you where we can in North Africa. No one else will show you what it's all about. CGTN, see the difference.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Ethiopian Abra Milau has upstaged two-time defending champion Paul Lonyangata to win this year's Paris Marathon. Milau clocked 2 hours, 7 minutes and 5 seconds, with Kenyan Lonyangata coming in third. 60,000 runners took to the streets of the French capital, Paris, and it was a double joy for Ethiopia. Gillette Burka produced a spurt of extra gas in the final kilometer to win the women's race with a time of 2 hours, 22 minutes and 48 seconds. Burka's compatriots Azmira Gebru and newcomer Azmira Abreha finished second and third.